afternoon, and welcome to my Harlem Portrait, the show that aims at shedding the light on the fundamental contribution of African Americans to the building of this country, and on the contribution and the excellence of Black and Brown people all over this country. Today, we are going to talk about something fundamental that is impacting greatly Black and Brown and indigenous communities, but in general is impacting all women in this country and all over the world. We are going to talk about The Right Track, a powerful, eye-opening call for action film that takes us on the front lines where survivors, advocates, policymakers, and law enforcement are fighting against sex trafficking and sexual exploitation across the whole of our country and North America. This document is playing currently at Villages Theater in New York City and in select theaters throughout the country. Go see it. It's absolutely important and amazing. And we are going to talk about it with Shareen Anderson, who is the director, and Janet Jensen, who is a survivor, an activist, and the founder of the Jensen Project. Welcome to my Harlem Portraits.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, your film has modified what I thought was my opinion and my views about legalization or not of prostitution and of the market. And this by hearing what happened to different people that you interview, different women that you interview. So, and it has raised a lot of questions and could not be more relevant in the current situation and these current times with the Epstein files, which are bringing to light the total disregard for the dignity and the life of the survivors and the unaccountability by the perpetrators, especially when they're wealthy and powerful. So, to Shareen, you are an award-winning producer, director, and showrunner. You're based in New York City. You co-founded the Josie Film Festival in Johannesburg in 2011, and you have directed the Mystic Film Festival in Connecticut since founding it in 2017. I'm just small points in your amazing career. You have developed and produced a wide range of docufilms and series like Saving Soweto and Forgotten Freedom Fighters for Al Jazeera English. Al Jazeera is one of my favorite stations to watch. And A Different Country, ETV, South Africa. All your docufilms are focused on raising awareness and making an impact. All these have been showing on major networks, including A&E, PBS, Netflix, CNN, and National Geographic, just to name a few. What made you take up this new challenge to direct this movie, this documentary?
Well, I was actually privileged to work on this documentary. I was invited to direct it, and when I was diving into the subject matter, I basically had no opinion either way. I understood obviously that sex trafficking is wrong, but I didn't have any understanding about prostitution and the overlap with sex trafficking. And once I started talking with survivors across the country and hearing their perspectives, I realized that there is a great need to clarify what prostitution really is in the eyes of survivors of prostitution and sex trafficking. And I just had a newfound understanding and once I understood, once I had some perspective on it, I really felt like this is an incredibly important topic to uh, have people discuss in communities and schools, on social media, because 2 years ago, my perspective was very different. Now I understand that uh, prostitution, sex trafficking, uh, the exploitation of women is so broad and in plain sight. It's so important for everyone to understand what's really going on in our country.
Thank you. Janet, you are an activist, as we said, a survivor. You founded the Jensen Project, and the core of this project, Grant Tank, raised at least 2 million annually to fight human trafficking and sexual exploitation. You believe in and you're advocating for the survivor model, which is a transformative approach to decriminalize prostitutes and provide safe alternatives for the survivors while applying strict penalties for pimps, traffickers, and sex buyers who are driving this commercial sex industry. And you want this to be adopted at the federal level as a blueprint for a just and necessary change in our legislation. You do it in a very strategic way. You put together a partnership among survivors, advocates, policymakers, and law enforcement, and you want to empower survivors. Tell me when and what made you take up this amazing, amazing challenge? Because your story is very important.
My story is a little different than the individuals in the film. I was sexually assaulted at 24 and abused as a child at 12.
Wow.
And then I had a husband that shot me. So I understand what it is to have your power taken away. And getting into this field, I was actually told I would be maimed, murdered, or killed. But I got up one morning and I just looked in the mirror and I said, if now, when, and if who, not you, I had the ability. And when we searched and went on, we do site visits at Grant Tank to have the ability to fund people. I want to see them right up front and make sure that there'll be a good connection. And
Yes.
on one of the visits, when we went, an individual had asked me, that was the executive director, who actually had a drop-in center on the track where prostitution was occurring, if kiddingly, if I would buy a brothel. I never thought I'd be asked. I never thought I would. But what came to mind for me after being in the field for less than 2.5, 3 years is that people really do not understand what the difference in the blurred lines between trafficking and prostitution are. And immediately I can remember at 25 years old, after I had been raped, I was driving and I happened to go past the track. And I remember a young woman in silver, sparkly dress, bleach blonde hair. Don't remember the shirt color, but super high heels. And all I thought is, why? Why would she want to do this?
Mm,
So, in reflecting on that, I decided that it had to be the only way they could feel it in their heart was to see it in their eyes. And then it will evoke enough emotion to bring out a very deep conversation.
yes. And that's how you started. To both of you, as I said before, this film changed what I thought would have been the best solution. I always thought, since I was a young girl, that legalized prostitution was the solution because it would give these women the possibility of not being in the streets, where it's dangerous, where they can be kidnapped, they can be killed, and so on and so on, and have health protections in the brothels, and so on and so on. That was my thought. But hearing some of the declarations of some of the survivors really, as I said, raised a lot of questions. So the first sentence that struck me: legalized prostitution is going to open a door to hell for young women. One of the say. Then there was this Madam Bella Jensen, who proudly was affirming, "I'm the longest serving madam in the US. I've been running for 38 years my legal licensed brothel. And a former porno star, sex work is healing work." And then the same person, I think it was, there are two types of sex work: survival and desperation sex work, and desire sex work. I desire it. Hearing all this made me think, why, for example, she said legalizing prostitution is going to open a door to hell for young women. And we are talking about also the Nevada model of legal brothels. Shareen, can you tell me a little bit about that? And then you, Janet.
Well, just to address what you brought up, the fact that a lot of people think that legalizing prostitution will make it safer, will make it will protect the women, will provide benefits. But what we don't talk about is the mental health of women who are put in forced or even might decide to work in this field over time. The trauma that they talk about, that they experience, is something that we don't talk about. And when you hear survivors say that, it feels like I'm being raped over and over again, that's not healthy for anyone. So that was the main thing that stood out for me, was understanding the mental health aspect of legalized sex work, and really any situation, whether the person's been trafficked or makes a decision to do this without being coerced, which is our understanding is that the majority of people are somehow forced or coerced into this. It's not something that most people freely choose to get into. But at the end of the day, most of them have expressed the extreme trauma that they experience by being in these situations over and over again.
Janet, to put something more on this, and also one of the things that I thought also was, as someone said before, she's doing it for desire. But watching your documentary, I realized that that desire comes most of the time from an ancient trauma, from being left alone, from having lost the parents, from having been sexually abused as a child. So it's not really, I think I understood that really, as you said, the majority of the women who enter voluntarily, even those who enter voluntarily in this trade, they have the trauma that has produced that. Tell me if I'm right. If that's
I think your thought process is right. The statistics show that over 70% of the women that are out and we talk to have been abused as a child. And actually, for me, I hesitate on some of the percentages because we really don't know, because there's a lot of people out there. And domestic violence is definitely a problem. And over a third of people that are trafficked by familia.
Wow.
So it
Oh my.
is a problem that people don't see. I mean, it's behind closed doors, under sheets, however you want to look at it. What we see out on the streets is an insignificant amount of what is behind the curtain. The individual that owned the brothel had 6 brothels, and the
You're talking about Dennis
Dennis
Hall?
Hoff, Dennis Hoff, and this one, it just happened that his madam was not on the license, so they had to shut it really very quickly. And he proclaimed to be the most prolific trafficker in the country. So if you're running a brothel and running with prostitution, and now you're stating that you are an individual that is the most prolific trafficker, those lines are so blurred that people do not understand that if you have prostitution, you have trafficking. They are inextricably linked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Absolutely. And so to talk about that, the movie, the film starts, first of all, with the script. If you think you're being abused or you're a victim of sexual abuse, call this number or text this number. And that is fantastic. And it's fundamental that women know where to go and what to do in this case. But I think it was incredible. The beginning of the movie, we see this statue of this lady with high heels and blonde and so on and so on. And then we see you saying, I bought the brothel. Now you told me why you bought it, but what is fantastic, and maybe if you want, we talk at the end, what happened to the brothel in the end? Because this brothel, is it a symbol for you? Why did you decide to buy it?
I, honesty, struggling at having the population understand what it is. And the normalization of sex in general is has happened since over 30 years. And now the fact that they want to consider work as sex or sex as work, it is so normalized that the average individual does not understand that. And people that are very bright, intelligent, and then those in the, that are not bright, but it's not that they're not bright, that they're living just quote unquote the American life. It is becoming so that the degradation of society is it, this is where I also, I just don't even know what to say. It's degrading society. And if we don't all look at the fact that this is happening, we will have a problem overall. And if you look at just the inequality of how women are generally treated, and don't even like getting into that, but the reality is this is going to make that worse. And if we're going to have the ability to change just the outlook and hopefully the thought process of individuals that do not understand that this is going on right underneath their nose, that's why I did what I did. And I don't know what to say, Maria. I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. It's one of the I did it. Let me
Tell
state
me
it
what
this
you
way.
feel like saying. Tell me what your emotions are. Whatever you want to say. This is the place.
I became so darn frustrated when I would talk to even individuals that I know and I work with or do, have business partnerships with and friends, and they did not grasp the idea. I thought, if there's a way to put a piece together, something that And I was very lucky that Shareen really didn't believe exactly the way I believed, nor did the executive producer, because when they saw what they created, what they put out there, it was because they had to look back and say, okay, how do you tell the story to evoke so much emotion in someone that they will change and they will at least stand in the mind that this is not the correct way. And my hopes is that they actually will speak about it and become enough informed that they are also part of the movement. If we have average, that's always a terrible way to put it, but normal people doing their work every day, and they begin to have a crowd swell up and believe that this is not right, that is success. Going in and getting to the Hill in the federal world is difficult, and going state to state has been difficult.
Yes.
So we need the people out in society to understand this is what's going on. That's why I did it.
And you did it very impactfully. Shireen, there were a lot of women and also some men that you interviewed who were part of different organizations that have been created, and most of them are survivors. Tell me a little bit about this. Like, for example, Safe Exit Initiatives, Awaken, Ernestine's Daughter, Yana's Place, The Network, Stolen Sisters and Brothers. And this was also very interesting. Demand Disruption.
Mhm.
That was very interesting also because he's a man. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, most of these organizations have been formed by survivors themselves who understand that to exit prostitution or to extract people from trafficking situations, they need help, and it's not just a one-day thing. Uh, it takes months, it takes years, and it takes a dedicated staff, and it takes people who know how to do this work and have empathy too, because there's so much stigma attached to prostitution, and you know, people just need a lot of care. And so all these different survivors have been doing this amazing work. And by showing this in the film, our goal is to show viewers and communities how important it is to support these organizations and to support the people who are exiting. And you know, that's through NGOs, that's through government.
Organization.
Yeah. Demand disruption is really interesting because that organization was founded to help buyers of sex, commercial sex, um, understand the damage that they're doing when they purchase sex. We often forget that part of it, and that is, you know, so important to change the mentality that people have about buying sex. And again, that isn't just a one-day cure or fix. You know, buyers, men, you know, need the guidance by experts such as Joe Madison, who's running Demand Disruption. And you know, most of the survivor model is based on, you know, working with sex buyers, helping them understand, educating them about why this is not the right thing to do. So it's an important part of the whole picture.
Yeah. Janet, Grand Tank, as we said, infuses lots of money into this. And tell us what was the 2025 focus areas of your Jensen's project core? What did you?
Housing, economic empowerment, which includes not only helping them be prepared to go to a job, many of these individuals end up with prostitution charges on their record, and some cannot get them removed. So that's also economic empowerment consideration. If you think about it, if you can't get a job because you have a record, that stymies them. The other is data technology and pulling data together. Unfortunately, in this field right now, a lot of data is out there. It is old data and it's not complete. People tend to silo their information. So we believe anytime we can bring people together and collaborate, that will be a huge liftoff for the field. And the other is policy. I would like to believe that we could do something right now through the federal government. And at this point, where we are spending most of our time, although have not given up on the federal, is state by state.
Yes.
And every state is totally different. Every community in that state actually has a personality of the state in many ways. And the laws are interesting. And what we would like to have is something that says, as you said, the survivor model, that is just a framework so that the vulnerable are taken care of and that the folks that are exploiting these individuals are accountable. And those are our four, although in the world of the Jensen Project, there's a lot more behind the scenes that we do to create the emphasis and support the groups that we have in Grant Tank.
What would you say to those people who say, but prostitution is, like someone said, is a healing thing, and it also has the task of avoiding that people, men usually, who have a very extra sex drive or devious sex drives and so on, take it out on women who don't want that. But they can buy that from women who have decided that they want that, or women who like that kind of thing. What do you say to those people?
I don't believe we need to change the laws. Very minute percentage of the whole. By changing the laws for those individuals, that is releasing the lion on the rest of them, giving permission to have this happen. If you think about it, we have problems with kids online. If you think through that, if the parents can go down to the local brothel and purchase, that is going to influence what the individuals that live and kiddos that are with them in their mind. So if you're going to say it's okay out here, then we're also making it so that it's okay for the kids to participate and do what they're doing online. So for me, changing laws for individuals to have a life that is sometimes and most often tragic at the end, I just don't see it. I don't see it as possible.
Shareen?
Yeah, I think just based on what I've heard from survivors, this is not it has nothing to do with sex. It's for them, it's if they wanted to have sex with somebody, you wouldn't have to pay them. It's that they feel that this is exploitation, it's demeaning, it's not of sex positive, it's not feminist, it's degrading,
Oh.
it's traumatizing, and I don't think it's something that we as society should be green lighting and saying it's okay. Like I have a daughter, I certainly wouldn't want her to choose this as a profession. And I think at the end of the day, uh, most of the people who've been, and most of the survivors have expressed, deep trauma because of what they've been through. And so I think we just need to listen to them and make decisions based on what they're telling us, what we're hearing from them.
So what is the hope for for this documentary? The hope and how do you think, how do you would like that the people who see it have an understanding, and what should that bring to? Janet?
It'll bring thought around the subject. People reject the fact that this is a normal job, and people, I hope, will educate themselves beyond just the film and develop in their own community some type of interaction. That is what I am hoping for.
Thank you. Shareen?
Yeah, well, I think, it's prostitution and trafficking is happening in plain sight. It's everywhere around us. And I hope people will look at what's happening differently. I mean, everyone's talking about the Epstein files, but all around us, people are being exploited, children, women, even men. And I hope that people understand that, our communities need help in trying to, stop this exploitation.
We need
May I,
healing.
yeah, may I say one more thing, Maria? If people are upset about Epstein and the abuse of power, I want to make sure that they look at the individuals that are like the folks in the film, the courageous women that came on and told their story.
Yeah.
Because if you are upset about Epstein and you're not upset about individuals that are not at that status, that is not congruent.
Yeah, I totally agree. Whew. Thank you for this really empowering conversation. Thank you for your movie. I wish that it goes everywhere and opens up minds like they open up my mind. It's a very difficult problem with very difficult solutions, but we need to do it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. This was amazing. This was really, for me, very powerful. Uh, Thank also to our viewers. Go and see this incredible documentary. It's really mind-changing. See you next Saturday, 12:30 p.m. on MNN channel 1993, and for the past episodes on my YouTube channel, My Harlem Portraits. Bye, ladies. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.